In 2008, the system died. And it was just put on this money printing life support to hide what was really happening until they could get the next iteration of a financial system in place. And what I'm holding in my hands are the representations of digital currencies that are quite designed to look like gold. Because even though they poo-poo gold, and of course now they're starting to see the value in it, Wall Street is, but they have poo-pooed it because they don't want you to hold it, because it is the only financial instrument that runs zero counterparty risk. A contract is all counterparty risk, and we are very much at risk. We've got to talk about debt, because can you really fix a too much debt problem with even more debt? No, you cannot. But you can take advantage of the circumstances if you're up at the top. Us little people down at the bottom, maybe not so much. But we have to talk about what's happening with debt, because we are at the absolute end of this currency's life cycle. There just isn't a whole lot more purchasing power to be inflated away, and yet that's where we're evolving to. So here we go. U.S. companies to boost their borrowing in 2026. Shocker. And who's telling us this? Wells Fargo. But JP Morgan also sees an AI boom driving record bond sales. Make no mistake, a bond is a debt instrument. It's just a longer one. Whoa. So, I mean, this is happening all over the world. In Japan, 132 billion borrowing binge reshapes global credit. Do you see what's happening here? These companies all know that we're declaring bankruptcy, that the government, the central banks, because there's only one way to fight deflation, which a debt bomb exploding, quite honestly.
Corporate America is accelerating borrowing, not because conditions are healthy, but because credit remains artificially cheap. Major banks now forecast record bond issuance, fueled by capital-intensive sectors like artificial intelligence and infrastructure. Bonds, after all, are simply debt stretched across time. This behavior is not isolated. Japan's massive borrowing surge is reshaping global credit markets and exporting financial stress worldwide. When debt deflation threatens to collapse asset prices, authorities respond with leverage and liquidity. It's a strategy rooted in delay, not resolution, extending the system's life while quietly acknowledging insolvency beneath the surface.
What does that do? It's very deflationary because everything implodes. Markets implode, real estate implodes, everything implodes. And we're already on the downside of this. So why not? If you know you're going to declare bankruptcy, why not take on any more credit? But I hope you can see the gold coins all around this desk, because if you're holding gold when this happens, and if you're holding silver when this becomes apparent to everybody, you will be in the best position possible to take advantage of what happens, right? Never let a good crisis go to waste. Why does it always have to be those at the top that get to take advantage of it? Because when we're looking at all of this level of debt, it's just higher and higher and higher, because the more debt they grow, the less impact that debt has. And the Federal Reserve has certainly learned that from coming in since 2008, right? The more they do this, the less impact all of it has on pushing up the prices. Not that those prices don't go to nosebleed levels, but let me tell you, there's only so much debt that you can take on. Look at this, annual overseas note issuance. So a note is also debt. It's just a little shorter term, is on course to exceed debt sales in yen for the first time ever. The first time. Because there really is no choice. Japan especially, they've been the poster child for how to fight deflation.
Debt alone is dangerous. Debt layered with leverage is explosive. Today's financial system is more leveraged than it was before the 2008 crisis, particularly within systemically important banks. Trillions in derivatives now sit atop already bloated balance sheets, multiplying risk rather than dispersing it. This is why the next crisis will not resemble 2008. It will exceed it. Back then, the system failed and was revived through unprecedented monetary intervention. Since then, each cycle has required larger interventions with diminishing effects. Leverage has replaced resilience, and the margin for error is effectively gone.
And really, it hasn't worked. But again, insanity is doing the same thing and expecting different results. But honestly, that's our assumption, that we are really expecting different results, isn't it? Because the reality is the level of debt that's been created as we've gone through these different cycles from 2008 to the next big debt explosion that happened in 2020. So what's next? Well, a lot of crisis is next and a lot more debt. And I cannot stress this enough. You cannot fix a too much debt problem with even more debt. But truthfully, how do you deal with all of this layers of debts? Because it just keeps going up and up and up. Does a tree grow to the sky? No. You have to have a correction along the way. And that's where what the banks do is leverage that debt. This is a graph on the derivatives held inside of the FDIC insured bank. So why do you care about this? Because it's taking that mountain of debt and putting even more leverage and debt on top of it. So these banks, JP Morgan, Wells Fargo, a Bank of America, Citibank, these large banks have taken all the debt that they've issued and then conducted God knows how many leverage bets against them. But it's higher than it was in 2008, that level of leverage, which means that this next big debt explosion is going to be a whole lot worse than it was in 2008.
While official narratives downplay risk, capital flows tell a different story. Physical gold demand has surged, with investment levels now rivaling and in some regions surpassing those seen during the last financial crisis. North American funds are reporting some of their strongest inflows on record. This is not speculation, it is capital seeking shelter. Gold's appeal lies in what it lacks: no counterparty risk, no default exposure, no dependence on financial engineering. Silver follows closely, driven by both monetary demand and industrial necessity. These metals are not trades, they are monetary insurance.
In 2008, the system died. And it was just put on this money printing life support to hide what was really happening until they could get the next iteration of a financial system in place. And what I'm holding in my hands are the representations of digital currencies that are quite designed to look like gold. Because even though they poo-poo gold, and of course now they're starting to see the value in it, Wall Street is, but they have poo-pooed it because they don't want you to hold it, because it is the only financial instrument that runs zero counterparty risk. A contract is all counterparty risk, and we are very much at risk. But what I think is extraordinarily important is what I'm showing you here on this graph, is that net demand here in 2025 is outpacing the demand that was set during the last financial crisis in 2009. That's extreme. That matters so much. In tonnage terms, demand has also been robust, with North American funds on track for their third strongest year on record. Yeah. Why? Because gold and silver physical in your possession is a savings-based currency.
Digital currencies and financial contracts dominate modern markets, but they all share one vulnerability: reliance on counterparties and systems that must function perfectly. Gold and silver require none of that. They exist outside the financial grid, immune to dilution and algorithmic manipulation. Yet markets routinely blur this distinction, presenting paper claims and digital tokens as equivalents to physical metal. Education is the dividing line. Those who understand monetary history recognize that honest money is savings-based, not debt-based. When confidence breaks, contracts fail, but real assets remain exactly as they always have.
That's why gold is the primary currency metal, silver is the secondary currency metal, and cannot be inflated away because it has the broadest base of use and therefore the broadest base of demand. And that's what takes it away from being an asset that can be manipulated and controlled and devalued. They can create as much of this as they want. And what does that do? Well, that suppresses the price that you see, those spot contracts. But they don't refer to those spot gold and spot silver contracts as spot contracts. They refer to them as gold and silver, just like they're doing with these cryptocurrencies, Bitcoin, making it look like it's gold. Do not be fooled. Education is key, because after all, how many times can you be lied to when you do not know the truth? You want honest money? That's the problem, is that it's debt money. But honest money, savings-based money, that's the antidote. And that's what puts you in the best possible position to sustain your reasonable standard of living today and take advantage of those opportunities that are headed our way tomorrow and not very far down this road.
Periods of systemic stress always produce opportunity, but only for those prepared in advance. Wealth transfers do not reward speed, they reward positioning. Preserving purchasing power is not speculation, it is strategy. Sound money has repeatedly served as the foundation for rebuilding after monetary resets. Beyond metals, resilience comes from community, essential resources, and local cooperation. No one can predict the exact moment the debt structure fails, but history shows there is never time to prepare afterward. Collective action, even from a small percentage of the population, is enough to change outcomes. The window is narrowing, and preparation is the advantage.
I know that there are opportunities because what the Zang Enterprise Sound Money strategy is based on is those repeatable patterns. How about for once in this massive wealth transfer scheme, how about for once that wealth transitions your way? You can do that just by holding your purchasing power intact. That's all. It's not rocket science. It's not complicated. You don't need to be some special kind of engineer to understand gold and silver, physical gold and silver. It's real. It runs no counterparty risk. It has the greatest demand. And we need to get this in the global monetary system again, because if we allow the digital system to take over, are you ready to be a complete slave? I'm not. That's not what I want to leave. That's not the legacy to leave for our children. So join me in this sound money movement. Locally, create that community around you so that you can create that surety in food, water, energy, security, barterability, wealth preservation, community, and shelter. Get it done. We are fast running out of time, and not you nor I will know the exact second that debt bubble is going to explode. But you better be prepared when that happens, because there won't be any time to do it after that. The time to get prepared is now, and the time to join the global sound money movement and demand sound money back in our global monetary system again, that time is now. And I know that together we can do this because we've got the 99% that are ruled by the 1%. So if we get 3% of the global population to participate in this, we got everything we need to protect our savings, to protect our children, and to take our power back. What a concept. One person can't do it, but together we can.